Bing, boing, bing. Everybody has a story to tell with Toddie One Skip. Hey guys, this is Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddie One Skip. Nobody takes the time to listen until we do now. Guys, everybody's unique. Everybody has a story to tell. Look at my hair. What do you think, guys? It's got some static electricity going on and a little bit of cowlicks here and there. Guys, how you doing? Listen, on the other channel, I cover a lot of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and it's not like I really want to corrode her and bring her over here, or corrode the channel, I should say. I do want to talk about the enigma. Who is she? What do we know? And, what we know is really speculation, except that Gypsy's own words have put her into a very small corner, and her world is really getting very small, very, very small, to where it's very hard for her to do anything. And all of this is because she never told the truth. And okay, people could say, well, why is it our business? She did her time. Well, she's flaunting the fact that she got away with unaliving her mom and sticking, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, somebody of weaker mental capacity and making them responsible for the crime while they're doing life in prison. She's out here living her best one and flaunting in our face and then insulting our intelligence by telling us many different sides to one story. And not all of it can be true. It can't be true. There's a way something happens, and it's okay if you recollect it differently, but not to the broad extremes that Gypsy has, to the point that it has poked so many holes that there's a Swiss cheese manufacturer calling and wanting to figure out how this person can walk around with so many holes in their story and still get the least little bit of credibility by even a handful of people. And that's what, in the scheme of things, on the spectrum of things, that's what she's ending up with now. A very small handful of people that you could sell the Brooklyn Bridge to. No lie. No lie. Now, what we need to give credit, honestly, is to Dee Dee, because I could see where Dee Dee had a huge influence, obviously, on Gypsy. And perhaps in making Gypsy feel like maybe she wasn't enough because of Rod, right? Because instead of, a lot of times people say shit during divorce. I mean, if divorce was happy times, more people would get them. Yeah, they are. Seriously. They're not good times. You've taken dreams and hopes and families and you busted them apart. And usually it's because of infidelity or just finding out who somebody is and seeing behind the curtain and just saying, I can't take it anymore, or growing in different directions. Rod and Dee Dee never had the chance to grow in different directions because wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and we were married. And out came Gypsy. And that's what happened. So, and then Rod wakes up into reality and says, I don't want this. Who knows what the truth is? The marriage didn't last. Gypsy was left. And looking over her shoulder, she sees a dad who's raising another family over the course of time. She sees it with her eyes. And her mom probably is telling her, and this is abuse. This is verbal and emotional and mental abuse. Your dad doesn't want you. He's over there raising them. I got to fight to get money. He's over there every day. Everything looks good over there. How come he's taking care of them? How come he doesn't love us? And Gypsy and Dee Dee having the relationship and the closeness they did because of the world that they both created at one point, okay? That they both created at one point. Then, they had each other to confide in. That's unfortunately, Gypsy heard too many things she shouldn't have heard from her parents, being their child, whether it be an adult child or not. There's certain things you just don't burden your child with. And I believe Gypsy was probably burdened with the fact that Dee Dee probably felt very rejected. And I think some of that went on to Gypsy. So that's not great with self-esteem. And then as Gypsy got older, and I mean, clearly she saw that her dad did opt to not really take any kind of interest in her life. Uh, Dee Dee, to me, that was the extent of her abuse. Okay. Now, did they run a scam? Yeah, they ran a scam. Who benefited from the scam? Seriously. Well, they both did, because Dee Dee didn't have to get a job. She was able to get, I guess, paid for taking care of Gypsy, who, by the way, was legitimately sick. Not with the extreme things, but who knows if they thought she had cancer at one point when they were trying to figure out the microdeletion. Who actually knows that? So, you know, and Gypsy's aggravating the situation too, and she's telling untruths that are aggravating the situation too. So how could her mom really see clearly? One thing we know for sure, that's not Munchausen by proxy, okay? Gypsy went to Disney World. Gypsy rubbed elbows with the rich and famous. Gypsy went and saw exhibits that some of us will never get to see. There are children that won't go to Disney World because of the inflation alone. But Gypsy went several times, ate royal mashed potatoes, had a smile on her face, every fucking picture that we see. Yet Gypsy claims that she was ABUSED'd and her life was miserable. Gypsy takes on the personalities, and we know this. We've seen this. It's in court documents. We've seen photos of this, and it has continued on to this day. Gypsy takes on personalities. She changes her appearance. She changes her accent. She changes her stories. She changes, and it's not because she's Sybil. It's not because she's Sybil. It's just because she lies. Perhaps she doesn't know who she is. This is something she should have worked on. And, you know, it's never too late. You're raising a kid now, Gypsy. You should kind of know who you are, because you need to be an example to your child, whether we like it or not. And listen, you're always changing your hair color. You're always changing your appearance. You're changing your accent. You're changing your talk. You change everything about who you are because you don't know who you are and you don't like who you are. And all of these stories that come out at all different times come out as Gypsy is taking on the persona, not the personality, okay? So she's not mental with this. This is by choice. And she's doing it by choice, by trying to get one over. Now, why doesn't she look back and say, damn, does that look silly, stupid, whatever? Or, gee, I've tried everything. Let me try the truth. No. For some reason, that does not click into Gypsy's head. Gypsy will never know who she is, and we will only see her as this constant changing person that's trying to get out of every situation she puts herself in until there's nowhere else to go, until there's a checkmate. And that's where I think she's finally gotten herself. She has tried to be a yoga instructor, a beauty influencer, a mommy influencer, one of those people that shops and goes for things and shows you what they bought for products, a hairdresser, an artiste, a counselor, some sort of marriage counselor. Remember when she was giving advice about that? She has none of those things are true to who she is. They are just things like the personas, they're masks, they're new things to try out. I'm not sure that Gypsy has ever found a passion for anything. Everything that she has tried hasn't succeeded. In all fairness, she has not given it enough time either. Even the art thing. Okay, we kiboshed her art shit. Why didn't she just continue on? Why didn't she slit the price, continue on? No, why did she stop? She uses us as an excuse to stop. Persevere. Nobody's really stopping you. We're critiquing you. Artists get critiqued all the time. The problem with Gypsy is she constantly stops. She just stops. and she doesn't continue. And that's something that she's got to really work on. Maybe she would have been successful at something had she have kept trying with it, had she have kept going with it, had she have persevered. But she doesn't have a connection to anything, let alone anybody. And that's the problem as she's walking through Earth, and walking amongst us. That's a problem that Aurora is going to have with identifying with who her mom is. And I'm sure Ken, I don't know where he's been lately, but hopefully he ran for the hills. So, who is Gypsy Rose Blanchard? She's some psychopath, narcissist, psychopath. Get help. You need help, Gypsy. This isn't working for you. Your world is just too fucking small now. Guys, this is Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddie One Skip, and nobody takes the time to listen. This is who Gypsy is. There's parts of this story that I can honestly relate to, though there's never a reason to unalive her mom, or to unalive anybody unless it's in self-defense. And this wasn't. Dee Dee was obese. Dee Dee was sick now. And Gypsy felt no obligation to help and take care of her mom. And not only, but to have her savagely unalived. When she had medication, she could have given her mom a quiet death. As we know, I believe there's something more to that, and the crime scene and the crime itself, because there was no reason for her to really unalive her mom in the way that she saw fit, except for optics, to make it look like it was a brutal crime scene with money missing and such. And again, I think that Nick wasn't supposed to walk out of there. So, in my opinion, Gypsy was going to have two people unalived, and she was just going to take off. Anyway, guys, this is, again, Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddie One Skip. And the story with Gypsy, I guess until she comes out with the truth, or until the truth is told, or until she completely just goes away, will always keep us wondering what happened that night on Volunteer Lane, or Volunteer Way, or Volunteer Road. What happened that night? Really? What caused that? And who did what? All right, guys, be well, and thank you, as always, for allowing me to be part of your day. I so appreciate it. Take care, guys. Bing, boing, bing. Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddie One Skip.